Hey guys, so I wanted to show you hopefully the only significant body work that I'm going to have to do. I don't know that it's significant, but this cut here was made at some point in the vehicle's life because this little strap that goes on the inside that's attached to the hinge broke. It's basically what limits the door from flying all the way open. I'll show you the broken one. Right there is the broken one, and it's supposed to sit on this pin on the door just like the unbroken one. And there's also supposed to be a little spring there that attaches to right there. It's supposed to be kind of an assist. So the spring probably popped off at the same time the door was forced open or allowed. So you could see the metal is actually pretty thick. It's probably 18 gauge inner and 14 gauge or 16 gauge inner and maybe an 18 gauge outer. So I bought the replacement hinge because at first I thought I would remake this little bracket, but then I'd have to grind down the pin and do other things, so I figured let's find one on eBay, and I did. I got lucky for 15 bucks. The other thing I'm going to do is because it's such a thin section here, I thought about fiberglass, but I don't think it'll be strong enough, so I'm going to try and use some. I don't have a MIG welder, all I have is a cheap little stick, but I'm going to try to use 6011 rod. And what I read was that if I knock the flux off and use some low current, I should be able to build this section up. I really just want to bridge some of this so that I can put a little bit of filler and an epoxy in here, so it prevents rust and it allows the Bondo or anything to sit. But ideally I'd be able to fill it up nice and smooth and then just file it down, grind it down, so that I don't have to use any significant amount of filler. So I'll bring you guys back when everything's set up and we'll take a look. Okay, so I knocked off I don't know, 3 inches just to test it out and see if it'll work. This is a 1/16 6011 electrode, and I'll set it up and let's see how we do. So I'm going to try 50 amps, and ground is right there, and I'm just going to touch ever so slightly in the thickest part that I can. I'm not going to be able to film it because I don't have 3 hands and I don't have a tripod, so I'll bring you back and let's see what the after effect is. Here's a little bit of progress, so you could see how much I've been able to build up here. I tried the 6011 without flux, and it just kept sticking and sticking and sticking, and so I went back to a fluxed one. And I know that'll leave some impurities, but I'm going to grind this down and fill any pinholes. Oops, sorry, and go from there. Seems like 50 amps on that little thing seems to work okay. It might be a little bit hot, so I'll try to bring it down a little bit still. And I've got some areas to clean up still. But I think this will work okay. I'll bring you back. Clamped a little bit of more steel on here, just some pliers and vice grips just to be as a heat sink. It's getting close. I'm starting to get a little bit too warm on the outer metal, but I think it'll be okay. I'm right at 55 amps. 50 amps was a little bit cold, too much sticking, and so basically I touch, melt, melt, stop, do it again, and then I grind off any slag and do it again. So I'll bring you back. After, I don't know, 10 or 11 6011 rods, I went down to about 40 amps once we started building up a little bit. And got a hole there that I can fill, and one here. But I've been, you know, filling, then grinding it down, filling, then grinding it down. It's basically like a primer, but I think it's going to work out great. I think that's about as far as I'm going to go with it. This little hole here, I keep chasing it, and I might try one more time, but I keep blowing through the outer here, so I think I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. But in general, I'm happy. Of course, it would have been easier with a MIG welder, but I don't have one, so this will have to do. Anyway, grind it down a little bit more, smooth it out, and a little bit of filler, and it's good as new. Well, not new, but you get my point. And this is just like that. So no more overextension, and I'll change the hinge out and we'll be good to go.